Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing podcast episode number 345. So, 345 continuous streak of daily blogging and podcasting. While if you watch the video updates came later on top of audio podcast, and this is the video number 123, I believe. So 123 minus about 3 or 4 episodes that were scattered in the beginning and were very uneven until I started doing them daily. So you can tell about 118 days of the continuous video podcasting. Today's update will really be short and sweet, I hope. So most of the stuff I included in the blog post today, so head on to the www.bluntforcehealing.com. The description should also contain the link to the to the blog. And you can bookmark the blog because the blog is written in the way that it contains these video updates as well, embedded in the actual body of the write-up. So it's meant to be consumed this way because they complement each other, both the blog and the podcast. So today was a quite tense, I would say, on the mental side, and the work day obviously took most of my mental space and time wise the big part of the day. But in the middle I still had to support and address, those concerns that were popping in Julian's head, because he still is on the weaker side, and it's probably partially related to some virus infection that he has, but also he's growing quite fast recently. So while we were at doctors, he also suggested that she also suggested that because like all the vital functions are fine, it's very likely that because he has that burst in terms of the growth, body is basically catching up, and all the systems need to adjust and grow together, and some of them do that not exactly at the same time. So he might feel weaker, and also I think the high front is coming, and I feel also a bit of sickness because of that virus. And while I'm not sensitive to the high or low pressure, Julian might be. So yeah, there are a lot of factors always. It's very rarely that we feel to some extent bad because of one thing. It's usually a combination of things. But yeah, Julian was very happy at the end of the day that he understood a lot of things, provided him a lot of facts that I either learned along the way or read in the medical journals, and things that I like to read about or listen to from legitimate sources. And that really helped him because his mindset is set for logical conclusions, and he really only accepts when something makes sense. So I wanted to make sure that every time he has question and I can answer it, it is answered. And if it's not fully answered, I can come to the logical conclusion based on the facts that I know. There were ups and downs during the day, but it was definitely on a better side, and he's recovering slightly from the virus. So he feels better, you can see it, and he's definitely handling everything much, much better now. While, as I said, myself and my wife, we already feel slightly the infection impact, so it's not uncommon in our scenario that Julian has some virus. He gets it first and takes short amount of time, but then we are next in line and we also feel the impact of it. You can see I'm coughing a little bit. But we never, apologies, we never end up in bed or anything like that for a longer period of time, which only kind of makes me more confident about our immune systems being in the good shape. And the only thing that we did really today, after the dinner, when I did the risotto al funghi with all the mushrooms that I spoke about in the previous episodes and wrote about, they were kind of complementing our, well, they were actually main part of the dish aside of the arborio rice. There were plenty of different species. It's great to have that ability and that skill to understand the mushrooms and collect them, and then I dry them up, and then I can improve any meals with that woodland jewels that we've collected. So, and it's very nutritious and very valuable for our system as well. It's just nature, it's better than any supplements that you can get or any produce that you can get from standard agricultural farming and the markets, or even most of the shops. So that's always a great addition and booster for example, vitamin D3 that we know that we usually get from dairy products, and we then need sunlight to properly convert that vitamin to the bioavailable form. And because we didn't have sun for probably like a proper sun for about 2 months almost, so it's very discouraging, and it has impact on the mental side as well, and energy levels. But the mushrooms have the vitamin D3 that is so far confirmed in a couple of research that it's more bioavailable, or it's of a better kind of form than this in dairy. So, and as far as we know, it's not as dependent on the sun to be activated, although it still needs it, but it's just it has better bioavailability. And there's a lot of protein in mushrooms, and they're you can call them kind of plant-based. Obviously, fungi are not plants; they are separate kingdom or branch, but they don't belong to plants nor animals. They are separate. But assuming that you might be in the vegan space or just following kind of some level of vegetarianism, then obviously fungi are a great alternative to protein sources, rich protein sources, which usually are unfortunately the meat-based foods. So if you try to avoid meat-based foods, then fungi are, like the mushrooms, are probably your best bet. And also not the farmed mushrooms, because button mushrooms or the usual kind of even the oyster mushrooms that you can get in the shops are barely about 3.5 grams per 100 grams of a mushroom, which you can probably get from a fatty milk easily or something else, and probably from beans. But if you get the woodland mushrooms, some of them can contain even like 70% of protein, so that means almost 70 grams per 100 grams of the mushroom, which is a lot. There's very little foods that can supply that other than meat sources. So that's very, very interesting side of it. So yeah, that's pretty much it from the up to dinner time and the evening evening time was pretty much the most fruitful, I would say, and interesting, because we went to Mountcharles Pier to check if the pier is in a, I would say it's suitable for our plan to ask for permission from the county council, and when we buy the sauna and we have that trailer, to put it there and operate in Mountcharles Pier at least part of the week, because it's easy access to cold water dipping in the Donegal Bay in the ocean. So we went there. The high tide was around 5 p.m. We were there around 7-ish p.m. So already 2 hours towards the low tide, but still plenty of water. So we wanted to see how deep it's there. So at this time it's nice, but I will have to go there once again at a very low tide and see how much impact does it have on the water levels at the end of the pier, where the sauna would be and the stairs to the water are, to see how much different levels are and how safe it is, and does it make sense to be with sauna there at low tide. And obviously a part of that trip was not only reconnaissance of the site, but also to do the walk, a family walk, in a place that is we've not done the walk yet. So I was kind of to refresh and not go to the usual places that we do. And it was nice. There was a little bit of drizzle. We got wet and a little bit cold later on, but nothing serious. And the day ended fairly well. And also a couple of nice animals there. But I will probably write about it and record a separate podcast soon as part of second reconnaissance at low tide, and I will hit that at the time when the cafe is open and the kind of petting place or petting zoo is there. It's not necessarily the zoo, just the owners have some animals that they either adopted or owned, and they allow the visitors within reason, obviously, to pet those. There are goats, llamas. They have even some snakes and other things like that. So there's plenty of interesting animals there to interact with. And today we had a chance, by pure accident, we went a little bit aside to complete our distance in Mountcharles, and we found a donkey. And donkey was obviously fenced within his area, but when I approached the fence, he gladly came up and I was able to pet him. And then Julian came in and I asked him if he wants to pet him. He was a little bit on the shy side and scared, because he's a bit afraid sometimes that the animal can bite him or whatever, but obviously he was courageous enough to pet the donkey and touch his ears, and it was a nice experience, very lovely thing. These animals are lovely creations and lovely pals of us on this planet, so we should respect them all the time and enjoy their companionship. Let me just wrap up and upload it. It's almost 11:30 p.m, so not much time to upload it and publish it. That's it for today. Tomorrow is the last day before my stormy day in Dublin. I'm still not sure if I will be 100% driving to Dublin on Thursday, but it's very likely that I will go there. So stay tuned. There will be a lot of more things to update on. And I hope you have a great day, or the rest of the day, rest of the afternoon or evening, whenever you are, and see you tomorrow.